Hi guys, how you doing today? I'm going to focus back on some business aspects of my practice and so on from a financial standpoint. I'm going to go back and revisit the PPP loans. I'm not going to talk about necessarily the fraud, but I'm going to talk about the second round of PPP loans, my experience in applying for it. I'm going to compare and contrast the first PPP loan that I received versus the second PPP loan, and I'm going to talk about everything that encompasses that. I want to talk about that whole process and what that's about. And I want you all to know, for those that own a business, you have employees, you have suffered in revenue, your business is not necessarily functioning the way it once did. If you're a person that was making 10, 20, 30, $40,000 a month, and you notice that you greatly decreased and declined in your revenue on a monthly basis, I think that a PPP loan would be appropriate for you. There's tons of people that call me within my field that work and do the things that I do in their private practice. They contract, that work in the healthcare industry. We talk about whether things as it relates to PPP loans. We talk about the EIDL loans. We talk about bridge loans and all the SBA financial vehicles that are available due to COVID-19 and the fact that the government is doing its due diligence to keep businesses afloat and to want to keep and to also allow people to continue hiring and continuing to employ people at that decline rate of revenue that they are encountering over this past year or so. Now, as it relates to the first PPP loan that I received, that process was very easy. Um, that process I basically followed all guidelines, paperwork. Again, guys, please make sure you have all of your financial bank statements intact. Please make sure that you have profit and loss statements. Please make sure your taxes are filed. Make sure all of the financial things that you have to have organized, that you should be doing anyway, have those things in order. Make sure your 940 or 941 is taken care of. Make sure, again, your profit and loss, your revenue statements, all of those things are there and ready to go. The same things that you would need that is necessary to complete taxes would be almost the same things that you would need to have necessary to have to apply for this loan. And so for what I've gathered, for the most part, what they're going to really look at is how much money they're going to compare and contrast how much money you were making pre-COVID and after, and once COVID came to existence and it affected our environment. For me, my revenue slowly declined over time. It wasn't I would say a huge short-term decline. It was a subtle month by month steady decline. And in that, they looked at what the amount of money that I was making a month versus what I had now. They compare and contrast through their formula and so forth, my expenses and so on. Because regardless of if your revenues are increasing or decreasing, there's a certain level of liabilities you're going to have regardless. You're going to have to pay certain employees. You're going to have to pay rent. You're going to have to pay cable bills, water, electrical. If you got vans and other equipment that require different services, billing, there's going to be a certain ground level, foundational amount of liabilities that whether you're making 50, 60 to $100,000 a month or less, they're going to be there no matter what. And so they look at that. Also, you have to understand that the PPP loan, if used correctly, you don't have to pay it back. If you spend 75%, which you should if you really need it, you don't have to pay the money back. So it's an incentive to please use the PPP loans for what they're for. It's for the business. It's not for you to have a Rolex, not for you to start blinging, not for you to start wearing all kind of nice fancy clothes and going out on trips and so forth. Because if you do that, you're going to have to account for it. Please don't do that. If you do so, it's going to go in line with the previous PPP loan content that I completed about Black community committing fraud with those types of loans. My second PPP loan, actually, I haven't received it yet. I'm very close. It's in the closing aspects of it, the closing stages. I was pretty. I was in a way, I was a little undecisive about whether or not to apply for a second one. But then in the month of December through through March, I again, even though I recovered back in, I say April, May, June, July. By July, September, on up to November, I recovered, and thanks to the PPP loan and the fact that my business was slowly able to get back to where it was. Then something crazy happened. Some financial issues happened with me and some of my third party payers. Then I had a tumultuous month of December, January, February. I applied for the PPP loan in March. After those 3 months, I actually should have applied for that loan in January. I applied for the second go around, which I think was approved to happen in January. But I didn't get around to completing and finalizing everything actually until March. I kind of delayed some things, and I decided not to. Right now, I've been waiting 3 months for that. I'm at the final stages. The second stage, however, I was unable to get as much as the first, because as they compared my revenue for those 3 months, for the months that they wanted to look at, which was like the last 3 to 6 months, they based it on my new normal of operating business, which is my COVID numbers. My numbers of operating during COVID were not at the level, even with the money of the cash injection that I received from the government. It wasn't as much as pre. So the second go around, most people are not going to get as much as they got the first go around, because they based it on pre-COVID numbers. So now you have these active numbers that are influenced and affected by COVID. So the second go around, the loan that I got approved for, which I actually got cleared and it's in the final stages, was actually about $15,000 less than the first one. But that's fine. I utilized the revenue because I closed down a business. I closed down a location because of declining revenue. Excuse me. And I also encountered some other liabilities as far as with upkeep of my building and also maintenance of my vehicles, that, from a cash perspective of me having a certain amount of cash, it put a strain on the business. And also the fact that the revenues had declined with that, with me operating in a limited budget. Still making profit, still doing well. As we look at the month of May and June, my business has went up, okay? But December, January, and February were not good months. March was an okay month. March and April, okay. Once May and June came, things were picking up a great deal. June, I've been swamped. This month of June has been one of the busiest months I probably had since maybe January of last year. So I'm lucky for that. But in that, I feel like I still have to make up for things that I lost, 5 or 6 months ago. So I applied for the loan. That money will be utilized for other services that I put into work for to begin providing, such as case management. And I'm also halfway finished with completing my BIP certification and accreditation, which I will probably have completed by July or August. And I won't probably begin providing services because of the long application process till probably December, and then January of next year. Hopefully I'll be implementing those services, and I will be contracting with law enforcement and other governmental agencies to provide BIP related services. So I will use those funds from the PPP loan to hire more people to provide case management, and also to get materials, and I may have to hire a BIP facilitator to provide services in conjunction with me at either my Dallas location or my location that's in Galveston County. So I already have a plan on how I'm going to spend the money that I am going to be granted from the government. That's the proper way, and I repeat, that is the proper way of utilizing the funds that you're receiving. It is not for my own personal leisure, to do things for leisure. It's not for my own personal enjoyment, even though an aspect of that that money can go towards my income and to my clients and to my employees and contractors. But the bulk of that is to invest in other programs that can make me more money. So in that process, again, please have your 940, 941s, have all of your tax statements, please have your bank statements, please have a profit and loss, all those different type of things that they're looking for. Please have your business licenses, your DBA, your PLLCs, your LLCs, whether you're a corp, a S corp, or a C corp. Please have that all that documentation in place so that if they need to see that and review those things, you have that ready for them. Okay. If you're going to do it yourself. Now, for me, the second go around, I decided to utilize a third party business to apply for those things for me because I simply just didn't have the time to do it myself. Also, when I applied for an SBA loan that I got approved for, I went through a third party agency. Things were taken care of. Okay. Also, like I said, for the PPP loan, again, you can do it independently on your own, or you can go through a third party financial agency that can provide those, and they're going to charge you money. What I don't advise you to do is to go to some independent person that doesn't know what they're doing, creating stuff for you so you can get a certain amount of money. You know, that $20,000 fresh threshold that everybody knows about, and somebody's charging you $3,000 to $5,000 for that. That's not what we're doing. That's not what you should be doing. If you're a businessman, act like a businessman, be a businessman or businesswoman, and take care of your business as you should. So again, this is D. Durrell talking about the second round of the PPP loan and the ins and outs of that. Have a great day.